right now. Meanwhile, Artemiev falls back with the queen. The rook lines up for future trades. Again, always bishop a3 in the air for Parham.
Yep, it's coming. First, those rooks sorting out business, getting towards the center. We could have all the rooks staring at each other. We could see some knight jumps and knight trades soon. Neither side really wants to blink first, but Artemiev definitely feeling the heat of the situation, of the Armageddon. He's burning time because he doesn't see a plan. He doesn't know how he's going to win this game.
All right, he makes the first aggressive move of the position right now. Jumps with the knight behind enemy lines, behind the half of his own board right now. Watch out for that tender spot on 8-7. The knight and the queen lined up. The bishops get off the board. The white knight aiming for that e4 square, trying to get rid of the defender on the king's side. But first, Parham gets the bishops off.
He really hates bishops. He was trading off his own bishops earlier. Now he's trading off the opponent's bishops as well. He just wants those naughty knights to jump around the board. Parham Maghsoodloo, he has a draw in his sights. This is such an equal position right now. It's going to be so hard for Artemiev to create anything. And the time advantage is down to almost just 1 minute.
Oof. That just means close to just having result odds if you're Parham. A draw means he takes the match right now. And you can see it on Artemiev. He's struggling to find ways to create dynamic possibilities for white here. It just feels like that queen beautifully placed on a3. If anyone's aggressive, it's got to be black.
There is a threat, though. There is a threat for the first time in this game. White's rook in the center is aiming to capture a black knight. The black knights are overworked. Tanya, you mentioned the white queen. And the knight over on g5 near the black king, lining up on the diagonal. Black's knights are overworked. There could be tricks, could be checkmating tactics. Parham, for the first time, has to be a bit wary here.
Tricky Artemiev right there. Huge idea on the board. Parham definitely spots it, but the question is, what is it gonna be his line of defense right now? We've got to show that plan, David.
Yep, the threat is rook takes knight. If black just takes the eye off the ball, makes a useless pawn move here, then rook takes knight would be a winning tactic, winning a piece, since the black knight cannot recapture due to the white queen, the sniper from afar, landing a checkmate on the diagonal. Queen and knight, the deadly combo, the best attacking duo there is, will trap that black king, mate the black king. So this threat with the rook sliding across has to be dealt with. Whether that knight moves, whether it's defended, whether the black queen swoops the whole way back, we'll find out. And okay, we saw a couple of moves. The black pawn steps forward, attacking the white knight, forcing it back. He has dodged the worst there, Parham Maghsoodloo. He solved the problems. No checkmate on the cards.
No checkmate on the cards, but I think there's still poison in this position. Notice how the white knight's fallen back, eyeing the d6 square as well. The knight infiltrating further into black's camp right there. For Parham, the defensive task isn't over just yet. He brings his queen back, eyeing both knights right now.
Very solid move. He's angling for more of those trades. As long as he doesn't allow that knight to jump in and maybe fork a few pieces, as long as he doesn't allow any loose pieces to drop off, he should be fine here. Parham, he did have to spend a bit of time though. So this last couple of moves, the last transition, maybe in practical terms, decent for Artemiev, but still needs to create something and win here with white. It's going to be an uphill battle, Tanya. I just don't see how he keeps all the pieces on the board as he improves his queen here.
And he's trying to improve it further, get it towards that a6 square, trying to eye black spawns on the left flank, creating pressure, creating threats. But there are knights that are attacked at the center of the board. Not easy, like you're saying, for white to find infiltration plans right now. For Artemiev, I think he just really wants Parham's clock to go as low as possible before we see a committal decision by white in this one.
Exactly. It's never over till it's over, Armageddon especially. And I think this might be the first time in the Esports World Cup, at least in this first match, that we will see the clock play a big role. The white queen slides across. We see a trade of knights now. Black's knight can leap forward at some point. There we go, attacking the white queen, destabilizing it. Not so many safe squares for the white queen to go. It has to cling on, keep contact to its knight in the center. Black's pieces are so active. Momentum's turning in Parham's favor.
Just 2 squares, I would say. If you want to make sure you don't lose material and the game, you could move it 1 step forward and 1 step towards the left if you're white right now for the white queen. And he tries to take that decision. Very important for Artemiev to keep the queens on the board. He does go back eventually once it hits the second time, keeping the knight defended and also eyeballing that b6 pawn of Parham's.
Yeah, Black's queenside pawns on that left flank are a bit vulnerable, are a bit loose and weak. So we'll see if that plays a role later. For now, the more trades, the better, Parham says. Rook's off the board. And now it really is hurtling towards an endgame. If the queens leave, white might have a small advantage as white's rook has a bit more access. But still, this last maneuver, really nice. The black knight is going to land in the center.
Hitting the white queen for the third time in that one. I think white is forced to jump up with the rook, create chances against the black queen, or start attacking the knight. But you have to be careful of folks right now. And for Artemiev, he does hit the queen. The knight jumps forward with a counterattack, but it is a big blunder on the board. Artemiev has missed it.
This is a huge blunder. There we go, a knight check, devastating. This is a huge, incredible tactic. A sacrifice to drag, to break open the black king. If the black king moves, the knight will capture the black knight. The black queen will be hanging at the end. If the black knight moves to recapture, the black queen is still hanging, and a pawn capture would have left the black king too open. White has won the black queen. White, Artemiev has a winning advantage.
This is completely busted for black, and you can see Parham there shakes his head. He can't believe what a tactic he missed. And Vladislav Artemiev with a brilliant knight jump with both queens hanging, about to take this Armageddon, and now Parham cannot believe it.
That was the first brilliant move, double exclamation mark move of this match. Artemiev now surely is going to win this game. Not just does he have the queen, but he has an easy plan. The white pawn, the B pawn, a passer running down the board. He's just doing some double checking here. Still plenty of time, 4 minutes. More than enough time to convert this advantage, and Parham on his last legs.
A queen and an extra pawn and some extra seconds on the clock right there. Parham needs to find a way to build a fortress right now. But in this one, probably none exists. If that B pawn was missing for Artemiev, there would still be hope for Magsutlu, but not in this case. And there we see on Parham the disappointment. You know, sometimes it's just one blunder. That's all it takes. It's brutal like that, chess is.
Exactly. These two players are so classy, so strong. They've cancelled each other out for so much of this match. But one blunder and everything will be decided. Yeah, the black knight just not stable enough. And the white B-pawn starts rolling down the board. A rook alone cannot stop it. Will cost black that rook or the black knight. And white is going to win this game. Artemiev so close now.
Ooh, and some tricks being set up. You captured the pawn, then the F2 pawn is a bit tender. You have to be careful. Rook takes pawn ideas with forks coming in. The rook and knight, and Parham doing Parham things. Still setting up tricks right now.
Yeah, potentially the last big trick, but last big trap of this game. Artemiev, he doesn't have to get greedy here. He doesn't have to capture that pawn. If he dodges with the queen, he should be winning. Just to show, queen takes pawn here would allow rook takes pawn check. And this would lure the white king into forking distance. White's king should, of course, retreat, resist the temptation of the rook, but if it captures, suddenly a full turnaround, a knight check, a royal fork, and the white queen would be lost. Black would be winning. So this is the only thing Artemiev needs to avoid. Better not to take this pawn, maybe just a sidestep. There we go. He dodges the trap, and he's still winning.
He's assisting the B-pawn up the board right now with his own queen. The rook steps behind it, but that's not going to help. The B-pawn about to march up the board. Trying to look for tricks here is Parham, but the rook and the knight disconnected from the board. The white king jumps forward, making sure that the black knight remains where it is, not allowing it into the attack. Really nicely done by Artemiev.
Nicely done. The black knight was again threatening to jump forward, so again he stops that. Just the way he set up his pawns, his pieces, have prevented the black knight from coordinating with its rook. The black rook does drop down one square further, but white's pawn also advances one square further. It feels like we are heading towards the closing stages now. Parham, he needs a miracle. Is it a knight fork? Tanya, he's trying to distract the white queen here. He's saying, go take some pawns. Go take a pawn with your queen, and then I can get that powerful white passed pawn. But no, Artemiev is so focused on his plan, not getting distracted.
The plan is simple. Keep pushing that pawn up the board and win big material in return for the queen. That's about to happen. And right now, Parham puts pressure on that center pawn. And you could also just ignore it, just as Artemiev is showing us.
Exactly. A pawn drops, but here we go. One square away from touchdown now. White is about to make a new queen. That will cost black his rook. Maybe there are ways to give up the knight for that pawn. But there we go. The knight is going to simply be captured. Pawns are going to drop off the board, and this is still far from a fortress.
We see equal number of pawns there. At some point, we'll see open lines being created for Parham. He has to get his rook defended closer towards the king, closer towards his pawns right now. We see the white pawns ready to march forward to explode open the right flank right there with F5. And big problems for black to keep everything together.
Artemiev is sped up. He didn't want to hang around. He knows the clock is the one thing that can save Parham Maghsoodloo. So Artemiev, there we go. He throws his pawn all the way up the board, creating mating nets around the Black King. There's the kiss of death potential if the White Queen is able to sneak in round the back. It's coming in, and this is going to break the fortress. Rook takes queen. A new queen will be born, and Parham Maghsoodloo resigns. Artemiev takes the win.
He takes the win, he takes the match in the Armageddon. What a performance, and it's a heartbreak for Parham in the whole match. Just one blunder cost him after 2 confident holds. 2 draws it was. Artemiev taking the Armageddon. There we see relief on his face.
Relief on his face. He earned it. He deserved it in the end. That tactical vision, his knight sacrifice earlier, knight to f6 check being the key. That was the one that his opponent had missed. And we said ice versus fire. It was ice that won out. Artemiev, too strong in the end.
Icy cool move of the day right there, getting him the match. He stays in the winner's bracket. For Parham, it's not over. The road continues. He drops down to the elimination bracket on his last life.
On his last life, no room for error in his next match. Parham Maghsoodloo for Artemiev. A job well done. Team Spirit will be cheering, will be very happy with his progress there. In the end, it was a very calm first 2 games, but the Armageddon is where it all came to life. And Artemiev walking over, a nice handshake, nice spirit between these two, nice sportsmanship, 2 of the nicest guys on the chess circuit.
And as they stand there to discuss the games for Artemiev, he said it in his pre-game interview. He wants an exciting match. He wants to put up his best skills, and that's what he did. He got that one opportunity, and he seized it.
Exactly, and here we see the players analyzing, discussing some variations. Artemiev just breaking things down, saying, oh, what if you'd done this? Maybe that would have turned out better. But here we see the closing stages of this game and the knockout blow, the knockout punch with the White Queen coming up the board. Artemiev had done the hard work and he finished it off in style. Will we see Artemiev march into the group stage next?
And we are with the man of the moment. We head to the stage.
Well, chess is well underway, and match 1 has concluded, already going to an Armageddon, and it was an exciting ending, to say the least. What a matchup we had. And Team Spirit, they are flying high. They're feeling good because their competitor now is very close to making it to the next stage, which would be big news for Team Spirit, as well as just Artemiev as a whole. Hey, welcome back into the Allianz Vaults. I'm Taylor Reflections, Noble Nemo, Mike Clyde. Good to see you both of you. Yeah, Armageddon. I don't know. Were we expecting it that quickly?
Probably not. And, you know, Vladimir obviously believed in himself of playing white, because when you bid 845, that's tantamount to saying, I'm comfortable playing white. And that's a big call because Maghsoodloo had not lost a game all tournament, and he's putting himself in a situation where he literally has to beat Maghsoodloo on demand, and he did.
I mean, I think it also stems from the fact that Maghsoodloo was up on time, at least, you know, until a certain point in the game for both of the games. And that probably also impacted Artemiev's decision to decide to take the white pieces, take the extra time. Maybe I can slow, like, you know, think a little bit more, maybe find some great tactics, which...
That's right.
Yeah, he actually didn't go for very much out of the opening in any of the 3 games. In game 1, he plays essentially like a King's Indian. Game 2, a Queen's Indian. And then when he has to win on demand, he double fianchettos the bishop. Not a very aggressive approach. No pawns push in the center. But he obviously believed that a slow buildup was the way to go. And then, of course, there was a tactical shot, which he was able to find. And just getting back to the health issue, Parham's heart rate was at 125 and above pretty much the entire match, even during the Armageddon bidding, which should have been a small, you know, respite. He's still up around 125 or so.
Again, a warrior nonetheless. To go to the stage, power through it, appendicitis, like never easy to deal with. But he says, I'm not missing the competition at the Esports World Cup. You have to give him props for props is due. But it did, in fact, go to Armageddon. And, you know, of course, on the other side, there was a big mistake. And this big mistake now ended up setting him up for failure, which ultimately did him in the end. We take a look at that replay and that moment. Walk me through what the error was and why it was so impactful.
Yeah, we say in the chess world not to answer an attack with an attack. And what happened is white attacked the black queen, which we're about to see coming up. And instead of just saving the queen, there we go, the attack on the queen. Black counters with an attack, but this knight f6 check move. And if the pawn had taken queen takes h6 would have created a checkmate threat and the queen threat.
I mean, once the queen is on b4, it's being attacked, you might want to move it because, you know, Parham got a little bit tricky, tried to get a little bit tricky, but unfortunately it super backfired on him, and that did cost him the game here.
Now, is this a result of him taking a lower time, right? Going for the bidding. He thinks, okay, you know what? I don't need the just under 3 minutes of time because he was leading game 1 in time by about 2 minutes, right? Game 1, game 2, he was also leading just the same. So game 3 going into Armageddon, he takes the lower time. But then again, that does increase the pressure and also the risk for mistakes.
I think it's actually not just a result of him having to be worried about his clock, but his king position was so safe. And you don't see those tactics happen when you've got all the pawns. He had not just 3, he actually had 4 pawns, you could argue, in front of his king. And knight f6 check ruined the pawn structure if the pawn had taken, and that's why he may have let his guard down.
But that's why we always tell people who are starting out in chess to look for checks, captures, and threats, because you just never know when a tactic might happen. And that's certainly the case in this position. Mike mentioned that it looked really safe, but unfortunately, there was this knight f6 check, earning Artemiev the double exclamation mark.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell my students that if somebody attacks your piece and you attack them back, I liken it to eating cake. If they get the first slice and you get the second, you're never going to end up ahead. If there's an odd number of slices, your buddy's getting more cake.
What if I eat both slices, though? Because I'm a big boy and I like both slices. I'm taking both of them for myself. It's hard when you make a mistake like that, especially at this level. Now, was there a chance that Parham could have reversed his odds? He makes a big blunder, but at this level, did that do him in the end? Obviously it did, but was there a chance maybe he could have dug himself out of that hole?
Unfortunately, once you're just down the material, it's a queen for a rook and a knight, which is just simply value-wise, point-wise, not enough. But also on the position, white was also able to get that pass pawn. And you just, at some point, have to give up a piece for that pawn in order to stop your opponent from getting a second queen, which would be an absolute nightmare. And that's kind of what happened. The fortress wasn't, unfortunately, able to work for Parham at the end there. The rook versus queen endgame was just lost.
Yeah, it's bad luck for Parham because in some of those positions, you actually can hold rook versus queen, but you have to have a stable pawn structure. And what makes it even more bad luck is that Parham was clearly better in game 2, but faced an impregnable fortress that he couldn't break through. So sometimes in chess, you are better, but still can't convert it to victory.
Oh, that's tough too. To be better and can't convert it to victory has got to be so frustrating to keep your head in the game. And by the way, chat, you have a chance to get involved with the broadcast. Make sure you're chatting as much as possible and ask any questions you would like me to give over to the experts, and they'll feel free to answer it and teach you like the students you are, learning the craft of chess just like I am. Get involved in the show. Again, literally just chat where you are currently watching, get hype or ask some questions, and your comment might actually pop up on the very screen. It's always one of my funnest parts, you know, hearing from the chat, you know, and just you never know what you're gonna get from them. You know how crazy they get, but it's always fun to say the least. Hey, the players are arriving. We're about to head into match 2, and John is catching up with a couple of them.
All right, we've got the next batch of players arriving for their match. Let's go ahead and see who's coming out of the bus. They're exiting their metal chariot and going to their premium material gaming chair. Here we go, it's Wei Yi. You mentally, you prepared, everything good?
Yes, I think I slept well, and yeah, I'm in good shape. Yes.
Amazing. Well, best of luck, and I'll catch you in a little bit. Good luck, mate. See you. Let's see who else is popping down the stairs in just a moment. Aha. Mr. Yesipenko, how are you doing? You all right?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Well rested. It's a really lovely temperature today, so hopefully nobody's sweating too much. You're in a good mental place for your match?
Yeah, I guess so. We will see. We will see how it goes. Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult, but also very optimistic for you today. How do you fancy your chances?
I think it's 50-50, yeah?
Yeah.
Either I win or I lose, yeah?
Well, best of luck to you. We're rooting for you, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you very much. All right, folks, we've got the next match lined up on stage. Let's look forward to getting started. See you soon.
Play is in our DNA. Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower. Now imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it. Kadir City, powered by Play.
Thank you, John, for catching up with the players. Andrei Esipenko going against Wei Yi next. It's going to be a great matchup for sure. 50-50 chances. I don't know, man. Feeling kind of confident for Esipenko, but 50-50. Come on, he's got to do better than that. He needs 51, at least 51-49. Wei Yi, though, great competitor. How you feeling about his chances?
I mean, Wei Yi has said himself that he is in good form, and we saw those results earlier this year at the FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Team Championships, where he did help Dragon Chilling get double gold medals. So he had a great performance there. It's been really cool seeing him here again. He did play last year's EWC, so he brings that kind of experience with him. And on top of that, Wei Yi and Esipenko have gone head-to-head before.
For a decade. For a decade, they've been going at it, battling tooth and nail. However, Esipenko's only been able to get draws, whereas Wei Yi's been able to get the wins. So when we talk revenge, Mike, like this is a revenge match of the most epic scale on the EWC stage.
Yeah, players don't forget about individual games, even from 20 years ago, and they've played each other very recently. So if revenge is a dish best served cold, it's still pretty warm in their memories. Now, for Esipenko, I think he wants to get off on a better start. Recall that at the Candidates Tournament, he was beating Javakir in round one, and after not being able to convert that game, it kind of hurt his whole tournament. Of course, here you don't have 14 rounds to recover. You have 30 minutes to recover. So what do you think about getting off on a good start?
I mean, I think, Esipenko himself said it great. 50-50. Look.
Going to go out the window after the first move begins.
It's a 10+0, so much faster than anything they've played against each other. They also faced World Cup probably, and yeah, it's going to be intense. It's going to be a fun match.
It is. Also, for the organizational standpoint, right? You've got Wei Yi representing Nemesis, and on the other side, Esipenko is going for VP. And you mentioned at the start, right, for Virtus Pro, they need the club championship points.
Yeah, it's so close. They're tied for fourth and only 50 points away from clear third. So there's three teams that are essentially tied, if you want to call it that. So making it into the main event is going to be huge for Virtus Pro.
So what makes Wei Yi, let's go back to him, so good? Because obviously in this matchup, he leads. I understand different formats, and that's a great point of perspective. But Wei Yi clearly is here for a reason. Why is he such a great player, and why does he deserve to be on the EWC stage for the second year in a row?
Wei Yi has always been known sort of as a prodigy, and he was one of the youngest players ever to become a Grandmaster. On top of that, he's also insanely tactical. He's a brilliant chess player.
Yeah, he's one of those players that he's been around forever, and yet he's not that old. He reminds me a little bit of Grandmaster Aravind, who's here, who was a Grandmaster from a very, very young age, and they've had meteoric success. They haven't quite gotten to that World Championship level, but they're always sort of, hanging around, if I can use some Malkovich there. They've never gone away, and so, they're waiting for their big moment in chess. If either of them were to win this entire event, that would be probably the pinnacle of their career.
All right, it's going to be a fun one. Another match about to go down. Will it head into Armageddon? Well, it's up to the competitors to decide. Let's head to the stage for match number 2.
It is time for match number 2. Our first match is over. First match, first Armageddon. Everyone is fighting tooth and nail to access that main bracket. But now, big match coming up, Rob.
Big match coming up. Absolute banger, certified, actually, as we have Andrei Esipenko going head-to-head with Wei Yi. Now, because the players are right behind us, I want to make sure Big Hollywood whispers this part a little bit. I don't want to throw nobody off. But over the last 10 years, Wei Yi has yet to lose a game to Andrei Esipenko.
You know what? If there's anything, this is week 6 of Esports World Cup. You and I have been there for 6 weeks now, and we've seen plenty of demons being defeated, plenty of storylines where someone finally defeats his arch enemy on this stage. There is no better stage to make it happen.
Okay, and we have to also make sure we point out when it comes to Wei Yi, this is one of the big dogs, ladies and gentlemen, because he actually broke the record and became the youngest player ever to reach a 2,700 rating, breaking Magnus Carlsen record at only 15 years old. Damascus, what the hell were you doing at 15 years old?
playing football.
Yeah, not much. Exactly.
Yeah,
we
that's
see where
about
that got you. Okay, now that said, ladies and gentlemen, this match is, of course, a clash of the Titans as we have Team Nemesis going head-to-head with Virtus Pro. There is a whole lot on the line.
A whole lot on the line, and remember that these two, they were at EWC last year as well, and they finished at the same position, 9th to 12th, so they want to get back into that bracket and to do better than last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are not here to talk your head off. It's time to get straight to all of the action. It's about that time. Andre Yesipenko going head-to-head with Wei Li. Let's get into the action.
Thank you, Rob Damascus. What a match. This is going to be an absolute banger indeed. The spotlight turns on Wei Yi taking on Andrei Yesipenko. Now, this is a rivalry shaped by the candidates, shaped by the World Cup. And I will say one thing. This man, Wei Yi, has been a painful opponent for Andrei Yesipenko. David Howell, this is a grudge match for Andrei on the biggest stage.
It definitely is. Wei Yi has to start as a favorite due to their head-to-head record. He's playing for Team Nemesis. He has been the nemesis of Andrei Yesipenko for years and years now. Wei Yi was also super impressive just a few days ago in Paris in those last chance qualifiers. He looked so calm, so smooth. His play was flowing. He's going to be a hard one to stop.
You know, we had an Armageddon in our first game. What are the odds that we get a second Armageddon of the day with this matchup?
It's definitely possible. I think if it goes that far, that would be a win already. A big psychological gain for your Andrei Yesipenko just to survive the first two games. Maybe get a win in if he can. His first ever win against Wei Yi. But the clocks are about to start. The game's about to kick off.
And let's set the context right here. Wei Yi knocked out Andrei Yesipenko in the 2025 World Cup in the semi-finals. In the candidates in the 2026, it was a 2-0 victory for Wei Yi against Andrei Yesipenko. He can change all of that. This could be his redemption arc. And Andrei Yesipenko chooses the Queen's Pawn opening to start with.
Exactly, Yesipenko with the white pieces. Will it be a Queen's Gambit declined? We get there by transposition now. And okay, we're going into a semi-Slav defense. And here, Black has created a triangle of pawns on the light squares in the center. Rock solid stuff. But often this game does explode a bit later when there start to be exchanges in the center of the board. Slow build up for now as Wei Yi, I think he's happy to neutralize this first Black game, and he'll aim to win the next one with white.
And he's a player who can be so incredibly tricky and attacking Wei Yi. So with the white pieces, he's going to be a menace, a nemesis for sure. But Andrei Yesipenko, he has to find his chances starting with white. First, we see a lot of development and finally making the plan clear. It's going to be on the queen side, on the left flank, that Andrei will strike first.
That's right. He pushes a pawn. He's trying to push that pawn as far down the board as possible, as that would gain space. It would create some pressure along the way, create some big decisions for Wei Yi. Does he block that pawn now? Does he stop its advance? No, he creates total chaos in the center of the board. There are currently 4 possible pawns leaving this board. Will white blink first? Will Black initiate those exchanges? The whole center could just be obliterated, and we could have symmetry. So many questions right now.
So many questions, such little time for Andrei Yesipenko to make a decision. Complete tension of face-off.
That one that just fell off the board. Black is now a pawn up, but Black's pawns on that left flank, the A pawns, they're both isolated, they're doubled, they're weak. They'll surely drop off a bit later. Black's bishop forced to retreat in the meantime, and Yesipenko will try to regain his pawn in the near future. This is so tense right now.
I love it. I love the battle that Andrei has created with the white pieces. The Black next putting maximum pressure. Not easy for Wei Yi to hang on to that pawn right now. For Wei Yi, the plan has to be to activate his light squared bishop as quickly as possible into the game.
Exactly. He'll be aiming to do that. The first long think now from white. What is he going to do? He's definitely looking at all those captures. It's so much choice. That often slows you down when there's more to calculate, when you're trying to evaluate every single option at your disposal. A bit of a shake of the head from Yesipenko there, as I think he played his first choice. He went back to his first instinct. He attacked a pawn, which was going to drop off anyway. So Wei Yi says, okay, I'll advance. You have a choice of 2. Do you take it with your pawn, with your rook? Decision time.
Always the rook, I would say, in this case. You want to keep that A file open. You want to keep the pawn closer towards the center of the board. I'd be surprised if Andrei picks up his pawn, well, uses his mouse to pick up that pawn and capture with it. A rook takes pawn is what I'm expecting here, David.
Yeah, definitely the most natural move on the board. Yesipenko potentially wondering what to do if his knight gets hit. The white knight has stepped into enemy territory, into the black half of the board. It might get kicked back any second. But there are counterattacks. White's Dart Squared Bishop is going to go hit the Black Queen potentially. You don't really want to step that White Knight back to the edge. There we go. A counterattack. The Black Queen has to shift. And the White Knight can actually step towards the center now. And the pressure, the tension continues in the middle of the board.
Fantastic spot there by you, David. I love this idea that we see the knight going not towards the edge, but the center right there. I'm expecting the queen to move forward, line up on the A file, try to target that A6 pawn if you're Andrei Esipenko. Who do you think has won the opening battle in this one?
Ooh, I think neither side will be too unhappy, but Esipenko has to be at least a slight favorite. It feels like there's less at risk for him. If he wants, he can trade off all the pawns in the center. It's probably going to fizzle out towards equality. White's piece is slightly more active, I would say. Black's rook on the top left corner, a bit stuck. So we'll see. He is the one to initiate those exchanges. He didn't want that tension any longer. White blinks first. Tanya, how about yourself? Do you think Wei Yi is happy with the outcome of the opening here?
I'm going to go with what you said. I think for Andrei to have this A file open and a clear target A6 pawn. Notice how the bishop, the light squared bishop that Andrei has, is already eyeballing that pawn at the edge of the board. The rook and the queens are ready to line up as well. The big question right now with B3, which was under fire, do you trade or not? And Andrei says, yes, I want to get rid of Black's most active bishop in this position.
Now, Black's bishop in the center of the board is the one that he wants to trade off. Black could now keep it alive, gain a bit of time, kick back the rook, and then start maybe initiating trades, improving the Black Knight, bring that towards the center, and this should guarantee him an equal position here. The one thing maybe to avoid is trading off on White's terms. A capture here would allow the White rook to step across, and suddenly there's a pin. The Black rook undefended on the back rank. This would invite some serious pressure. Advantage would go to White's hands here.
It does feel like Andrei Esipenko is the one first to put pressure in this game, asking the big questions. I really like this idea of his last move to trade off the light squared bishop, really adding up to those opening problems for Wei Yi. For Andrei, really important to just keep psychologically really strong, to take this as his one-match opponent rather than to go back on their historic rivalry.
Exactly. And, okay, Wei Yi now pondering what to do next. I think he's going to retreat the bishop. It must be tempting here to try and simplify, especially as Black, to trade off pieces, to try and rush towards a draw, but that was a bit of a trap to trade off on White's terms. He says, no, not yet, and he kicks back the White rook, and there we go. The knight improves itself.
And I like that square that Andrei just chose because it keeps the rook flexible to swoop over to the right side of the board, but also keeps a square just behind it on that A1 spot for a doubling up to happen to attack that A6 pawn. So rook A2, a really nice retreat there. While Wei Yi continues to improve his own pieces, the knight comes forward. Are we going to see more trades in the center?
It's very likely. There might be a threat in the near future of grabbing Black's A-pawn. The White light squared bishop, the White queen are lined up on that diagonal. That would come with a lot of risk attached, as White would lose coordination of the pieces. A lot of pieces would be stranded on the edge of the board, but it's something for Wei Yi to consider. I think he wants to eliminate those pawns in the center of the board, but first he gets his bishop off the back rank. Eval Bar rises slightly in White's favor, but a very logical move there.
And Wei Yi is a player who loves to play for the initiative. He doesn't care about pawns as long as he's able to create his tricks. And taking that pawn would have been extremely tricky for Andrei Esipenko with all the ideas you mentioned, with Black capturing the knight, the White queen being overloaded, defending that, and the bishop at the edge of the board. So instead, he does continue to consolidate the center. And look at this nice move, sliding the queen over, lining it up on the longest diagonal, eyeing the B3 pawn, also defending his own A6 pawn. That's one move, many grooves.
Exactly. Multi-purpose, the Black Queen loves to be on these flexible squares, long diagonal, open file. The Black Queen is one of the MVPs right now. The Black Bishops, nicely placed. I think Wei Yi, with this last move, has finally fully equalized. He can argue now that he no longer has too much to worry about. As long as he doesn't walk into the White Bishop capturing that A-pawn right now, he can trade off the light squared bishops. He has many options. There we go. Super solid from the Chinese Grandmaster there.
Trading on his terms, if you pick up the bishop, Black loses that weakness forever. Capturing towards the center would be that A6 pawn, so not letting that happen. Andrei Esipenko instead just creates a breathing space for the White king on the right side, says, I'm okay to trade as long as it's on my terms.
Yeah, that's the type of move you play, the last one from Andrei Esipenko, if you know you don't really have an advantage and you know the position is just equal here. Black's knight landing in the center. That knight can be hit, but it would be able to travel further forward into the white half of the board. A very nice post for it in the meantime. Yeah, what to do? Yasipenko slightly lower on the clock. He might start to feel the pressure soon. And there's that dilemma, Tanya. Does he bail out? Does he trade off all the pieces, head towards safety, head towards a draw, knowing he's never, ever beaten Wei Yi and he gets black next? Or does he try to take some risks to complicate it and to try to go for it here and now?
I'm not seeing the complications after this last move by Andrei Yasipenko. It just feels like it solved Wei Yi's problems in a really great way. Now there's no weakness on the A-line. The pawns look better for black. Center being attacked currently. And right now that last move puts pressure on the C5 pawn, asking for a decision. I think this is where we see the final capture.
Exactly. Wei Yi can defend that pawn with his rook, or he can just trade off in the center. Both moves look fine. Black is totally happy here with the game scenario. I think his match strategy has been to neutralize. That's clear with Black, Wei Yi. He feels he's much more dangerous with White. That's where he wants to strike. And so far, so good. His game plan has been perfect.
Just confident player all through with the black pieces right there. It felt like Andrei created something out of the opening, but Wei Yi handling that to perfection right now. He does consolidate on that C5 pawn, creates a breathing space for his king on the right side as well with that last move.
Yeah, and it's really clear here that Yasipenko is running out of useful moves. He's kind of moved his rook one square up. How is that better? Very unclear. His queen, is it better placed than it previously was? Very unclear. He's just waiting now. He's waiting for Wei Yi to do something. He's maybe waiting for the clocks to tick down before deciding on his risk appetite.
You know, I look at the pieces and compare blacks to each of the whites' counterpart. I think there's a case to be made for Wei Yi to be the one putting pressure. He's also placed his queen nicely on the open file. We see a trade. It feels like you've got more space if you're black right now. The piece is more beautifully coordinated at the center of the board. The black knight better than the white knight. The black bishop better than the white bishop.
Yeah, White's bishop especially. Not a happy piece right now. Stuck in its own back rank. Not on a great diagonal. Not very active at all. It is small things we're arguing about here because ultimately it is symmetrical. Pawn structure, pieces, everything looking balanced. But this is the format. This is where the clock starts to play a role. The players could start to get nervous. One side could start to push a little too hard as the white queen steps back, attacking black's bishop. For now, a draw would be the most likely result, but we've seen strange things happen, Tanya.
I couldn't agree more with that. I think very likely we're headed into a peaceful outcome in this one. But if anyone is going to try, I think Wei Yi will find a way to put some pressure on Andrei Yasipenko. Imagine that B pawn for black moving one step forward, taking more space, also occupying a beautiful square on C3. He first just retreats with a bishop that was under attack. I'm actually expecting Wei Yi to play some committal pawn moves soon enough.
The black queen also has access to swoop down to the first rank at some point. White's king maybe slightly more vulnerable than its counterpart on the back rank, just due to the fact the white king can never really step forward. The black bishop eyes the h2 square. And, ooh, Wei Yi brings his bishop back where it came from. This is the second time we've seen this position. Could we start seeing, repetition here, Tanya?
It's an invitation to do just that right now, but he chooses another square to retreat to this time, so definitely denying that. Some mind games there by Wei Yi, saying that that bishop can plant itself on the f6 square, on the longest diagonal on the right flank, where it says it'll be more active. So kind of tricking Andrei Yasipenko into this feeling of safety for a second.
Exactly. It's a psychological battle here. The mind games have started to begin, where you're just teasing Yasipenko with the idea of a repetition. The clock does tell the story that Yasipenko is the one slightly less comfortable here. He brings his queen to a different square. Just as a side note, 99% accuracy for both players. So right now, both playing pretty much perfect chess, not giving each other a chance here. But the clocks, I have a feeling that might be the decisive factor. If Wei Yi can put the pressure on, he's up around 30, 40 seconds right now. Can he keep up that time edge?
He's playing fast, he's playing swift, he's playing accurate is Wei Yi. Again, the position very much in balance, but the feeling is that Wei Yi is on the right side of that equality currently. Andrei Yasipenko with that last move trying to improve the quality of his own bishop. But where is the breakthrough? Notice how Andrei's queen is beautifully placed, just making sure that Wei Yi's queen isn't able to leave the defense of the b5 pawn.
Ooh, and he lashes out slightly. This isn't too weakening for Wei Yi. He just wants to advance his king slightly. He feels that the squares around the black king are covered. But it also does show some ambition. He's gained a bit of space. Those pawns could advance even further long term. I'm expecting the black king to improve itself. Yeah, it could be a race towards the center. If the queens come off the board, the kings will start to play more of an active role.
And now the clock's leveling out. This last move by Wei Yi, I do think it gives Andrei Yasipenko just a little something to play for. Ideas like the H-pawn moving forward, targeting the black pawn that's just moved ahead. Ideas of the E-pawn moving ahead, kicking that knight. Wei Yi instead just retreats voluntarily on his own, trying to reroute it to the other side of the board right now. Is this the moment that Yasipenko uses to try to trade the last remaining bishops?
Oh, that's a very good point there, Tanya, because we were saying just a few moves ago that White's bishop inferior to the black bishop. White's knight cancelling out the black knight right now, but bishop's about to leave this board. Maybe, just maybe, it will backfire. The fact that he opened up his king, Wei Yi. Those dart squares looking a bit tender right now.
Every pawn move comes with its own set of consequences, and this one definitely weakened, created some squares and holes in black's position. Getting rid of the defender now is Andrei Yasipenko, taking control of that opportunity with the knight retreat that this move was made possible.
Yeah, momentum starting to turn both on the board and clock. For the first time in a long time, Wei Yi is slightly below his opponent on time. He's now begging for that queen exchange. This hits the white queen. It also hits the undefended white knight. So will the queen exchange be forced? That would be a calmer way. Yasipenko more ambitious, though.
He wants more. He doesn't want the repetition. He doesn't want the draw anymore. Queen takes queen would essentially have been a draw offer, but instead, Yasipenko, he is trying to trick Wei Yi. Even though the position is in balance, it's all about king safety. And it is Wei Yi's king that's feeling the heat.
You can see he senses it, suddenly leaning forward. The body language has changed. He feels that there might be something in the position. The white H-pawn might step up the board a bit later on. But he can't spend too long trying to make that magic happen. White's knight now entering the center. Very logical, hitting the black queen, eyeing up some pawns. Wei Yi is hanging by a thread suddenly. He has to find some very accurate squares with his queen to hold the balance. There we go. Centralize. If in doubt, put the queen in the center of the board. Makes a lot of sense. She controls the most squares there. And still no clear path forward. White's queen, the only square I was going to say is this one to trade off. Will he go for it, Wei Yi? Will he remove the queens from the board?
And the reason is that you trade that off. Notice how black's knight is so offside from defending the lone pawn on the left flank for Wei Yi. You trade that off. You need to be careful with the white knight coming for that black pawn. And I think we're going to see Wei Yi trying to come up with a way to defend it. And he does. He stops the knight jump to the center of the board.
Such an important move. Black really didn't want to make that move, but he had to stop the white knight traveling quickly over to that left flank, to the queen side. The reason he didn't want to play it is because after White's last move, there are some light squared holes on the structure there for Black. White's knight will have an easier job hopping, jumping, but for now it is a defensible position. It should be holdable here for Wei Yi, but it's very much the type of position where it's likely to be a white win or a draw. It's going to be very hard for Black to win this.
When you're going down under the 2-minute mark right now, notice that 8-6 pawn, that's a forever weakness for Wei Yi as the white knight does find its path, its route towards that F5 square that you highlighted, David. Meanwhile, the black king looking for activity on the left side of the knight leaves the center of the board. We will see that king heading towards the B pawn.
I think this is deceptive. The evaluation bar says 0.0 should be a draw, but this is not easy. Wei Yi is 30 seconds down on time. He has a slightly more difficult position. Black's pawns are easier to get at. White's knight is just beautiful in the center of the board, can't be challenged. This is an opportunity for Andrei Yasipenko to win his first ever game against Wei Yi.
The only thing going for Wei Yi is that the king of the hill, the king finds itself at the center of the board, the more active of the two. Also notice that the knight, it's a defensive piece, it's a passive piece, but does a beautiful job of controlling that F5 square right there. So I think Wei Yi so far keeping it in the balance, but it's going to be not an easy task to finish this into a draw.
It's going to be a flag fest. That's what it is. 1 minute each now. Not much time at all. There's still plenty of life left, despite the fact it's only knights and pawns. Knights are such tricky pieces. Could there be knight forks later? Yasipenko's getting ready for that pawn race. There we saw his screen with the fancy graphics. How is he going to try and press here? He needs to speed up. He pushes the pawn. That's very, very committal. That pawn is now within striking distance by the black knight. But he's hoping there might be some checks. Are the pawns on the left flank going to be eliminated now?
He did push that pawn to take away some running squares from the king right now. And we are officially heading towards bullet territory with no increment right now. The king falls and now the whole of the queen side is off the board. This would make the defensive task easier for black.
Yep, just pawns on one flank. This last knight move, really classy. The black king was uncheckable. The players start to repeat, and they don't want to risk it. It's a draw in game one.
Oof, a peaceful result, but the game anything but peaceful for both these players. Up and down battle, some committal moves right there, and they go in with a level score as it will be Wei Yi who will start with the white pieces in game two.
Yeah, that was about as much of a perfect game as you could hope for. Neither side making any big mistakes. It was Yesipenko maybe with a little pressure at the end, but ultimately I think both players equally happy.
Leave already underway. We've got action coming in.
We do indeed.
No moment for the players to take a pause. David, it's non-stop in Paris.
Non-stop here in Paris. The players were so impatient to get game 2 going that we missed the opening moves. It was a Petrov defense as pawns traded off in the center. This is actually a battleground they've faced each other on before. This exact opening featured between them at the Candidates tournament earlier this year. White's king has been displaced. No castling in the near future. It's been checked off its starting square, and black cannot castle either. Yesipenko's last move, Wei Yi's last move. He's put his queen on the diagonal that cuts across the black king. And this is a really double-edged opening. For a Petrov defense known to be relatively solid, this is pretty much the most extreme version you can get.
I'm really glad you brought that up. Now, usually in chess, when players have faced each other in an opening, you'd expect that you'd go down and prepare and see what went wrong. That game, Wei Yi won against Andrei Yesipenko. But the way the candidates went for Yesipenko, how motivated was he to find the right way forward? Because look at what's happening right now with the black pieces. A long think by Andrei. And we are just on move 11.
Exactly, still very early days, and this is the first case of the Esports World Cup this year where one side has clearly got their opening preparation in. This is some home cooking from Wei Yi. He's clearly studied this in a lot of detail. He knew that he was up against Andrei, and he knew this opening was very likely to land on the board. This black bishop retreating in the meantime. It wants to step further forward, maybe to the d6 square, just to eye up the white queen, to try and break its X-ray vision, to get the black king to safety, to get castled. But Wei Yi definitely with the early psychological win. He's up on time, and he's got his opening idea on the board.
He does, and he's got one pair of knights off the board right now as the bishop does land to stop the connection. Sevilla, the queen, the white queen, from stopping the black king to get to safety right now, but loses another tempo as white does compromise on the pawn formation, but gets an open beeline for the rook to eventually land in.
Exactly, and the black king is going to be castling next move, just in case it gets checked, but it's going to castle onto a flank of the board where there are no defenders. Black's whole queen side, that left side of the board, fully asleep. It's going to take several moves for them to get into the game. Can Wei Yi whip up an attack before Yesipenko is fully ready? I see the evaluation bar liking White's position slightly, but that means he needs to be quick, needs to be energetic and accurate.
And then suddenly, Wei Yi's idea of having the rook on h1, the h-pawn up the board, putting his king on this square, which is so unconventional in chess, just makes sense. If the black king is about to get to the right side, as it just does, White's pieces are beautifully placed for an avalanche, for an attack on the right flank.
Exactly. Give White one more move, and he's actually going to be retreating his queen backwards. The white queen can land on the c1 square, and there are threats. The white bishops, the diagonal they point towards, Tanya, that spells danger for the black king. No defenses around it.
There'll already be sacrifices to be looking into as batteries are about to be formed right now. Very sneaky, rook to the center of the board, creating the idea, David, that you just pointed out, the white queen getting to that square, bishop takes pawn coming in next. And the thing is, with this time format, defending and fighting these ideas are so difficult.
Exactly, and just to show that on the board, if black is a bit careless here, for example, plays on the wrong flank and refuses to develop the sleeping pieces, then white would already have a winning advantage. After just one careless move here, the white queen will swoop back, and this diagonal is the key. No real way to stop a sacrifice on that square. If the black queen comes out, for example, whoops, she gets trapped. A sacrifice here, and white has beautiful tactics. Another check. If the black king ends up taking, this is deadly. A fatal check here. The black queen will drop off the board, and if you don't defend that pawn, if you continue your operation on the other side, Wei Yi would crash through. Bishop takes, a queen jumping in, and clearly this is going to end in a checkmating attack. Black would be helpless. Therefore, he tries to trade off as many pieces with this rook move as possible before the attack lands.
But I'm still expecting it to attack, to land just there. You know, you trade the rook, you bring your queen back, and as you said, black's army is still so offside from defending the king right now. now. The big idea, and let's not forget, Wei Yi, one of the youngest ever players to cross the 2,700 Super GM club mark in the history of the game. You know, he's touted as one of the players who's just so incredibly attacking and aggressive in his play. He's played some of the most attacking immortal games of chess as well. I think queen to c1 and all these sacrifices that you're pointing out is very much on his radar.
Exactly. That move is going to land the white queen retreating. It's just a case of whether he trades off rooks first or whether he allows the rook trade on his opponent's terms. He does get the rooks off. The white queen is offside. She's not doing anything now on that left flank. She's going to step back. Surely no. A slower approach from Wei Yi. Question mark given as well. Very surprising. I guess he wants to improve his king, get his king off the back rank, centralize his rook, but that looks like a very slow approach.
And it also gives Andre the time to actually finish development with tempo. Your bishop could now come out before the knight does, hit the white knight, bring that bishop to g4, then continue with development, and suddenly there's perfect harmony for Andrei Yasipenko right now. The question mark feels like it's on point here. You know, queen retreat with all these tactical ideas would have been so much more difficult to handle.
Yeah, it felt like he was a bit scared there, Yasipenko. His heart rate was quite high. He was down a minute or two on the clock. Wei Yi, that might have been the moment to strike. The moves you predicted now on the board, Tanya. Black has developed. Finally, all the pieces are out. The queen has been hit, though, forced to sidestep. It feels like the worst has passed. The danger from that opening, from that preparation that Wei Yi landed on the board, it's over.
I just want to point out about a very important defensive resource now against all the ideas of sacrificing the bishop for the kingside pawns that black will always have. Andre can retreat the knight to a square next to the black king and just make sure that no checkmates are delivered. Knight on f8 and you never land a mate.
Exactly. Knight on f8 and yeah, you can be confident about your fate. That's
Knight on f8, you're your king's best mate.
Exactly. A knight is a king's best friend. Full stop. A great defender. And Yasipenko has that one up his sleeve. First, where he forces back the black bishop. But to the white knight now, not so well placed. It does feel like long-term black is pretty happy. White has some double pawns on the queen side. So if Yasipenko continues defending as well as he has done, he's got to be feeling pretty happy about how this game is going. The white queen does step back, though, and will we see that knight land on f8? There are still sacrifices in the air, Tanya, that black must be careful of.
It's got to be one of the two squares, either on f8 or on f6. The idea is to control that square next to the black king on 8-7 with your knight, making sure there are no checkmating patterns right now. Andrei Yasipenko looks like he's very much in control. He knows that he's got the defensive resources. I will just point out that black rook, which has not made a single move and entry into the game, needs to do it fast.
Exactly, he needs to do it fast. And it's often at those moments when you start to feel like you're on the defensive, you're a bit lower on time. That's when the fact that you have this horrible head-to-head score against your opponent, it starts to play a factor. And whoa, big mistake from Andrei Yasipenko. He's totally taken his eye off the ball. He's just allowed Wei Yi to break through with a sacrifice. He's trying to call Wei Yi's bluff, but it's simply a blunder. We have to check out whether Wei Yi can land a sacrifice now. We see the evaluation bar saying white has a huge advantage.
It's the big moment. Bishop takes pawn. And David, I think we need to investigate that because it does come as a piece sacrifice and black's knight is ready to jump into the defense.
It is. Bishop takes pawn is the acid test of what black is trying to do here. The white queen would swoop in, threatening some checkmating ideas. The black knight now. Which way does it go, Tanya? Back, forward.
Let's go back. Let's go knight f8.
Knight and f8. There is no mate, they say. But white here has more ammunition in the tank. The white knight is now going to come forward. Black is pretty much frozen. Black can't bring any more defenders across. And for example here, it's just too many attackers. 1, 2, 3 incoming, and the white rook could also join the attack. It's on the board.
He does
Wei Yi
it.
sacrificing his bishop.
Wei Yi with a brilliancy on the board, going for checkmate against Andrei Yasipenko, bringing on his attack right now. And Andrei Yasipenko will realize that he's a little too late to defend.
He's too late to defend. He has to maybe just ignore this bishop, but that is a huge pawn to lose around your king. Double exclamation mark, a brilliant move. And Wei Yi, he wasn't hiding it. He pretty much showed his opponent this was the plan. And Andre, really surprising to ignore this.
If I have to get into Andrei's head right now, I think the feeling is that he forgot that Wei Yi can add to the firepower at the end of it. You know, you can defend that checkmate, as you pointed out, but once the white knight comes and joins the party of the bishop and the queen, it would be game over for him. And I think that realization is about to dawn on him, that he indeed cannot capture that bishop. Oh, he does it. He's taking it on. He has to bring the knight forward or back to defend the checkmate. Head in hands, but is it too late?
It is too late. He starts to calculate now. He starts to try and work out his defensive resources, but there simply aren't any. The white queen, the white bishop is the MVP, potentially. They're just threatening too much right now. And a knight, we said it was a king's best friend. We said a knight in f8, there is no mate. That might be the commentator's curse, because it looks like this could be a checkmating attack. Wei Yi is such a dangerous attacking player as well. Andre, I think he just forgot who he was playing for a second. Of course Wei Yi was going to sacrifice, especially with this time format. This is just fatal.
Unbelievable what has just happened for Andrei Yasipenko. Does he bring his queen into defense? There are ideas of landing that queen on f6 as well, trying to trade it off. He's trying to calculate 3 moves. Knight retreat, defend 8-7. Knight forward, defend 8-7, or offer a queen trade.
Oh, and maybe we can show that in a second. The queen coming across was his defensive resource. That was definitely what he planned, Tanya. I think you're right. He just assumed he could defend by bringing his queen out. But if the black queen or black knight come across to defend, has to be one of them. It is knight to f8, the move we mentioned. But if the queen had come out instead, there would have been some deadly sacrifices. Wei Yi would have won material while continuing the attack.
And David, they say 3 is the magic number for an attack. The queen and the bishop there, the knight about to jump in. I'll add a 4th attacker. That's Wei Yi wielding his weapons right now once that knight lands to f3 and g5.
Oof, and it's coming. It's just 1 or 2 moves away from delivering the killer blow. Andrei Yasipenko, it's the board. It's cut in half, essentially. The black queen, black rook, they're on the wrong half of the board. The real action is around the black king, which is too open, no shelter. Andrei Yasipenko down to 3 minutes as well. You need time on your clock to defend. Even in a position like this, there might be chances, but the clock is going to compound the misery here.
For Andrei Yasipenko, he's up that extra piece, but he's playing down a rook right now. We said it, that rook hasn't made a single move, hasn't entered.
The winning variation would begin with the knight stepping forward, threatening some deadly checks. Black wants to block. Tanya, you mentioned this. The black bishop wants to trade off, at least eliminate one attacker. But the problem is, once the bishops leave the board, another attacker jumps into the action, rides into the black position with power. The rook would land on the 7th rank, 7th heaven, attacking a bishop, attacking a pawn. Black can trade queens here and not get checkmated, but unfortunately at the very end, the bishop would fall, white would have 2 extra pawns and a winning position.
That would be fantastic. And again, the 3 magical number of attack, this time converted to a queen, knight, and rook. Instead, we do see a check being thrown in. Is this Wei Yi just, again, repeating and then changing the order?
Could be him toying with his opponent. He can repeat once more, but not for a 3rd time. That would be a draw. He can check from a different square this time. That would rule out any bishop exchanges. Wei Yi, he could be overthinking this potentially, Tanya. He can win by keeping it simple. No, he jumps in with his knight. Also looking good. His rook might recapture that knight if taken by the black bishop, adding another piece into the attack.
Hits the queen for now, and for Andrei Yasipenko, no easy questions to answer. You could throw in a check if you're black yourself, but that doesn't solve anything. And you can see it on Andrei Yasipenko that he realizes just how difficult this position is. It's a best of 2. This is the final game. If Wei Yi wins, it's match over.
It's getting close now. Andrei Yasipenko needs something special. He needs to capture. Will it be the white rook? Nope, it's the queen first.
And you could just do a maneuver with your queen, keep giving checks, and then plant your rook on that e5 square. Just get that major attack as Andrei Yasipenko realizes. And now that square that you earlier highlighted, give it from a different square. The rook about to slide up, and Andrei Yasipenko continues to shake his head.
Exactly, this rook arriving, that re-establishes the magical 3. The white queen, the white rook, the white bishop, all attacking. Black is defending with not enough pieces here. He was talking to himself, Yasipenko. He was saying, why did I allow one of the best attacking players in the world to attack my king? And that one move earlier, taking his eye off the ball, is going to be the reason he's punished. A white rook sliding across is going to be a deadly check.
And one opportunity is all Wei Yi needs to find his way towards a victory. And as he did that, now a huge threat on the board. The rook giving a check would be game over. Andrei Yasipenko with 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock. And the clock, not his biggest problem.
It looks
by Wei Yi getting it done, and calm and cool he is. Absolutely expressionless. He is the assassin in the chess world.
The assassin, team nemesis. He has shown that he is Andrei Yasipenko's nemesis. Still unbeaten against his rival there. That very one-sided head-to-head that we talked about. But his match strategy, Tanya, so impressive. He just wanted to be solid. Draw with black, win with white, like in the good old days.
And he just proved it. He just did that to perfection, you know, with his opening choice, playing something that has the ghost of the past for Andrei Yasipenko, and then capitalizing on that psychological advantage right there, setting up a tactical idea, executing it, given one shot as the heart rate monitor comes up. You look at Wei and you just feel his baseline, that's where he remains no matter what happens.
Exactly. He was always the one chilling there, it felt like. Lower heart rate, more time on the clock, always in control. He takes the match. Andrei Yasipenko's key is now in danger. He's on his last life. He will drop to the lower bracket. Analyzing his games, trying to figure out where he went wrong there. But yeah, not his finest game.
And I think if he looks back, he will see it was that one moment, that one decisive moment there, allowing a beautiful bishop sacrifice as we relive and the final checkmating pattern there. And of course, the action goes and we return to our studio.